The coffee shop on Maple Street had seen better days, but for Jennifer Hayes, it represented something more valuable than marble countertops or leather booths. It was survival. At 28, she had mastered the art of balancing a tray of steaming mugs while mentally calculating which bills could wait another week. Her strawberry blonde hair was pulled into a practical ponytail, and the faint circles under her green eyes told the story of a woman who worked double shifts and still found time to read bedtime stories to her 5-year-old daughter, Chloe. "Table 7 needs a refill," barked Marcus, the perpetually irritated manager, who seemed to forget that Jennifer had been covering for 2 absent co-workers all morning. She nodded without complaint, grabbing the coffee pot with the ease of someone who had performed this dance 1,000 times. The lunch rush was finally dying down, and her feet ached in shoes that desperately needed replacing. "Jenny!" called out Brenda from behind the counter, her plump face flushed with excitement. Brenda had worked at the coffee shop for 15 years and treated everyone like family, which sometimes meant she meddled more than she should. "Come here for a second." Jennifer approached cautiously, recognizing that particular gleam in Brenda's eyes. It was the same look she'd had before trying to set Jennifer up with her nephew, her neighbor's son, and the delivery guy from the bakery supply company. All disasters. "What is it, Brenda? I've got 3 tables waiting for—" "Hush now," Brenda interrupted, lowering her voice conspiratorially. "My sister's friend knows this wonderful man. Successful, handsome, around your age. He's looking to meet someone genuine, not these superficial girls who only care about money." Jennifer's stomach tightened. "Brenda, I appreciate it, but I don't have time for dating. Between work and Chloe, that's exactly why you need this," Brenda insisted, her eyes wide with genuine concern. "You're 28 years old, and you deserve happiness. 1 dinner, that's all I'm asking. This Saturday at Lucia's, 7 o'clock. He'll be wearing a blue tie." Before Jennifer could protest further, Marcus shouted her name, and she had to rush back to work. But Brenda's words lingered in her mind throughout her shift, mixing with the exhaustion and the constant worry about Chloe's upcoming school expenses. What Jennifer didn't know was that 3 blocks away, in a gleaming high-rise office, a very different conversation was taking place. "You did what?" Trevor Whitmore nearly choked on his espresso as he stared at his 2 best friends, Kyle and Preston, who were barely containing their laughter. "Come on, man," Kyle said, his expensive suit creasing as he leaned back in the leather chair. "You've been moping around for months since Veronica left. We thought we'd have some fun by setting me up on a blind date with some random woman." Trevor ran a hand through his dark hair, his jaw clenched. At 32, he had built his division of Whitmore Industries into one of the most profitable in his father's empire, but his personal life was a disaster that his friends apparently found amusing. Preston, the quieter of the duo, at least had the decency to look slightly apologetic. "We told her you were a middle management guy named Tom. Nothing fancy. We figured you'd show up, have an awkward dinner, and we'd all laugh about it later. And what makes you think I'm even going to show up?" "Because," Kyle grinned wickedly, "we bet Marcus $500 that you wouldn't go through with it, and you never back down from a challenge." Trevor wanted to be angry, but part of him was intrigued. Since his breakup with Veronica, a model who had been more interested in his last name than anything else, he had grown tired of women who saw dollar signs instead of a person. Maybe pretending to be someone ordinary for 1 night wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. "Fine," he said finally. 1 dinner. But you 2 owe me for this." Saturday evening arrived faster than Jennifer had hoped. She stood in front of her tiny bathroom mirror, second-guessing every decision. The black dress she'd borrowed from her neighbor was simple but elegant, and she'd spent precious money on a haircut that made her feel almost pretty. Chloe sat on the closed toilet lid, watching her mother with the serious expression she sometimes wore. "You look like a princess, Mommy," Chloe said softly. Jennifer's heart melted. "Thank you, baby. Mrs. Patterson is going to watch you tonight, okay? I'll be back before you know it." "Is this the man who's going to be my new daddy?" The question hit Jennifer like a punch to the gut. "Oh, sweetheart, no. It's just dinner. Just grown-ups being friends." But as she kissed Chloe goodbye and walked to the bus stop, Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling of guilt. Was she being selfish? Should she be spending this time with her daughter instead? The internal debate continued all the way to Lucia's, an Italian restaurant that was far nicer than anywhere she'd eaten in years. Trevor arrived first, deliberately choosing a simple outfit: dark jeans, a blue tie, and a casual blazer. He felt ridiculous, like he was in some kind of undercover operation. The hostess led him to a corner table, and he ordered water, trying to calm his nerves. This was stupid. He should leave right now. Then Jennifer walked in. Trevor had expected someone desperate, maybe even a little pathetic. The kind of person his friends would think was funny to set him up with as a joke. Instead, he saw a woman who moved with quiet grace, her eyes scanning the restaurant with a mixture of nervousness and determination. When their eyes met and she gave him a hesitant smile, something unexpected happened in his chest. She was beautiful, not in the manufactured way of the women he usually met, but in a way that seemed genuine, real. "Tom?" she asked as she approached, extending her hand. "Jennifer?" He stood, taking her hand. Her grip was firm despite the slight tremor he felt. "Please, sit down." The first 15 minutes were awkward. They fumbled through the usual small talk: weather, the restaurant, neutral observations about the city. Jennifer was painfully aware of how out of place she felt in this expensive establishment, and Trevor was trying to remember how normal people were supposed to act. "So, Brenda tells me you work in management?" Jennifer asked, taking a small sip of the wine he'd ordered. She rarely drank, and the warmth spread through her immediately. "Something like that," Trevor said, which wasn't entirely a lie. "And you work at the coffee shop on Maple Street?" "2 jobs, actually. The coffee shop and night cleaning at an office building. She paused, embarrassed. Why was she telling him this? "It's just me and my daughter, so I do what I need to do." "You have a daughter?" Trevor's interest was genuine now, the pretense fading. Jennifer's face lit up in a way that transformed her completely. "Chloe. She's 5. She's the reason I breathe." For the next hour, they talked, really talked. Jennifer told him about Chloe's obsession with dinosaurs, about the struggle of being a single mother, about dreams she'd put on hold. Trevor, still maintaining his cover as Tom, found himself opening up about the pressure of expectations, about feeling like he was living someone else's life, about wanting something real. The restaurant was closing when they finally noticed the time. "I can't believe it's almost 11. Jennifer laughed, a sound that Trevor realized he wanted to hear again. "I haven't talked like this in, I don't even know how long. Can I drive you home?" Trevor offered. "Oh, I'll take the bus. Please, it's late." She hesitated, then nodded. "Okay. Thank you." Trevor led her to his car in the parking garage, and Jennifer's steps slowed when she saw the sleek Mercedes. "This is your car?" I do okay," Trevor said, cursing himself. So much for being middle management. The drive to Jennifer's apartment was filled with comfortable conversation, but when they pulled up to the modest building in a neighborhood that had clearly seen better days, Trevor felt something shift in his understanding of her life. This wasn't just about being a single mother. This was about real struggle. "Thank you for tonight," Jennifer said, her hand on the door handle. "I had a really wonderful time." "Jennifer, wait." But she was already out of the car, hurrying toward her building. Trevor sat there for a long moment, then pulled out his phone and called Kyle. "How'd it go?" Kyle asked, amusement clear in his voice. "Was it as awkward as we hoped?" "Kyle," Trevor said slowly, his eyes still on the building where Jennifer had disappeared. "I need to tell you something. I like her. I really like her. And I need to know everything about how you set this up." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then Kyle's voice came back, suddenly serious. "Trevor, man, there's something you should know. We didn't exactly set you up with just anyone. We found her profile on a community board where Brenda was actually asking for help finding someone for her friend. We thought it would be funny, a billionaire's son going on a date with a struggling single mom. It was supposed to be a joke." Trevor's grip tightened on the steering wheel, anger flaring hot and immediate, but beneath that anger was something else, a determination he hadn't felt in years. "Tell me everything. Now." The following Monday morning found Trevor in his corner office, staring at his computer screen without really seeing it. He had spent the entire weekend thinking about Jennifer, her laugh, the way she talked about her daughter, the pride mixed with exhaustion in her eyes. And beneath all of that, the sickening knowledge that his friends had set her up as some kind of entertainment. "You look terrible," came a familiar voice from the doorway. His father, Richard Whitmore, stood there in his characteristic three-piece suit, his silver hair perfectly styled. At 65, Richard still commanded every room he entered. "Just tired," Trevor replied, straightening in his chair. Richard studied him with the same analytical gaze he used in boardrooms. "Your mother wants you at dinner on Thursday. She's insisting, which means she's planning something. Dad, I'm 32. I don't need her setting me up with more daughters of her country club friends." "Tell her that yourself." Richard turned to leave, then paused. "You know, your grandfather started this company with nothing. He understood that real value isn't found in boardrooms. It's found in people who know what it means to work for something. Don't forget that." The words stayed with Trevor long after his father left. Meanwhile, across town, Jennifer was dealing with her own complications. She'd arrived at the coffee shop that morning to find Brenda practically vibrating with excitement. "So? How was it? Tell me everything," Brenda demanded, blocking Jennifer's path to the time clock. "It was nice," Jennifer admitted, unable to stop the small smile that crept across her face. "Tom was really easy to talk to. We just connected, you know? I knew it. Oh, Jenny, I'm so happy for you. When are you seeing him again?" The smile faded. "I don't think we will. I didn't even give him my number. Brenda, look at my life. I can barely afford Chloe's school supplies. I can't afford to date someone, especially someone who drives a Mercedes and eats at restaurants where the appetizers cost more than my electric bill." "But you liked him," Brenda pressed. "That's exactly the problem," Jennifer whispered. "I really liked him. And that makes it worse, because there's no future there. We're from completely different worlds." What Jennifer didn't know was that at that exact moment, Trevor was standing outside the coffee shop, watching her through the window. He'd told himself he was just passing by, but that was a lie. He'd driven out of his way specifically to see her, though he hadn't worked up the courage to go inside yet. His phone buzzed. A text from Kyle. "Dude, forget about her. It was just a joke. Move on." Trevor deleted the message without responding. That evening, Jennifer picked up Chloe from the after-school program and headed to her second job. The office building where she cleaned at night was in the financial district. All glass and steel and marble floors that echoed with her footsteps. Chloe did her homework in the break room while Jennifer worked, a routine they'd perfected over the past year. "Mommy, who was that man?" Chloe asked, as Jennifer emptied trash cans on the 15th floor. "What man, sweetie?" "The one you went to see on Saturday. Mrs. Patterson said you looked very pretty." Jennifer knelt down to her daughter's level. "Just a friend, baby. Nobody important." But even as she said it, she knew it wasn't true. Tom, or whoever he really was, had gotten under her skin in a way she hadn't expected. She found herself replaying their conversation, remembering the way he'd listened to her, really listened, without judgment or pity. She was so lost in thought that she didn't notice the man stepping out of the elevator until Chloe tugged on her sleeve. "Mommy, that's the man from the picture." Jennifer looked up, confused, then froze. Tom was standing there, now dressed in an expensive suit, looking as out of place in her world as she'd felt in his restaurant. "Jennifer," he said softly. "I need to talk to you. What are you doing here? How did you—" She looked down at Chloe, then back at him. "This is my work. You can't be here." "I know. I'm sorry, but I couldn't stop thinking about Saturday night." He noticed Chloe staring at him with wide, curious eyes. "Hi there. You must be Chloe." "How do you know my name?" Chloe asked with the blunt suspicion of a 5-year-old. "Your mom told me about you. She says you like dinosaurs." Chloe's face lit up. "I love dinosaurs. My favorite is the velociraptor because it's really smart and works in groups." Trevor smiled, and Jennifer felt her heart do something complicated in her chest. "That's an excellent choice. Smart and loyal." "Tom, please," Jennifer said quietly. "I have work to finish and my name isn't Tom," he interrupted, his expression serious. "I mean, my name is Tom, but it's Trevor Whitmore. And I need to tell you something about Saturday night." Jennifer's confusion deepened. "I don't understand. Can we talk, please? Just for a few minutes." Against her better judgment, Jennifer nodded. She led him to the break room, setting Chloe up with her coloring books before stepping into the hallway with Trevor. "Okay, what's going on?" she demanded, her arms crossed defensively. Trevor took a deep breath. "Saturday night wasn't what you thought it was. My friends, they set us both up. It was supposed to be a prank. They thought it would be funny to see me, someone from my background, go on a date with someone from a different situation." The words hit Jennifer like ice water. "A prank? You mean I was the joke? No, God, no. Jennifer, listen to me. I have to get back to work." Her voice was cold now, professional. The walls she'd spent years building were slamming back into place. "Jennifer, please." "Yes, it started as something stupid that my idiotic friends thought up, but the moment I met you, everything changed. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. The way you talk about your daughter, your strength, your honesty." "Stop." Jennifer held up a hand, and Trevor was horrified to see tears glistening in her eyes. "Just stop. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? I got my hopes up. I actually thought maybe, just maybe, there was someone who could see past all my struggles, and just like me for me, but it was all a setup. I was entertainment for bored rich people. That's not fair." "Not fair?" Jennifer's laugh was bitter. "You want to talk about fair? I work 16-hour days to give my daughter a decent life. I haven't bought myself new clothes in 2 years. I eat ramen for dinner so Chloe can have real meals. And you and your friends thought my life was funny enough to turn into a game." "I didn't know you then," Trevor said desperately, "but I know you now, and I'm telling you, what I felt on Saturday was real. What I'm feeling right now is real." Jennifer shook her head, wiping at her eyes angrily. "It doesn't matter what you feel. We're from different universes. You drive a car that costs more than I'll make in 5 years. You probably have no idea what it's like to choose between paying rent or buying medicine. We have nothing in common except one dinner based on a lie." "That's not true. We connected, Jennifer. You felt it too. I know you did." "Connection doesn't pay bills, Trevor, and it certainly doesn't change the fact that I was a joke to your friends." She turned toward the break room. "Please leave. I have work to do." "I'm not giving up on this," Trevor called after her. Jennifer paused at the doorway but didn't turn around. "There's nothing to give up on. It was one dinner. That's all it was, and that's all it'll ever be." She stepped into the break room and closed the door, leaning against it as silent tears streamed down her face. Inside, Chloe looked up from her coloring book. "Mommy, why are you crying? Did that man make you sad?" Jennifer wiped her face and forced a smile. "No, baby. Mommy's just tired. Let's finish up here and go home, okay?" But as she returned to her cleaning, pushing her cart through the empty offices, Jennifer couldn't shake the memory of Trevor's face, the genuine hurt in his eyes, the desperation in his voice. Part of her wanted to believe him, wanted to take the risk, but the practical part of her, the part that had survived abandonment and poverty and countless disappointments, knew better. Some fairy tales weren't meant for people like her. What Jennifer didn't see was Trevor standing by the elevators, his phone in his hand, texting his lawyer. If he couldn't prove to her that his feelings were real through words, he'd have to find another way, and Trevor Whitmore had never failed at anything he truly committed to. 3 weeks passed, and Jennifer convinced herself she'd moved on. She threw herself into work, into Chloe, into the comfortable rhythm of survival that had defined her life for the past 5 years. She ignored Brenda's concerned questions and deleted the florist's number after the 3rd bouquet arrived at the coffee shop with cards that simply read, "I'm sorry, Trevor." What she couldn't ignore was the envelope that arrived at her apartment on a Tuesday evening. Jennifer had just gotten Chloe to bed when she noticed the thick, cream-colored envelope that had been slipped under her door. Her name was written in elegant script on the front. Inside, she found a letter written in strong, masculine handwriting. "Jennifer, I know you don't want to hear from me, and I respect that. But I need you to understand something. My entire life, I've been surrounded by people who want something from me. My name, my money, my connections. I've dated women who saw me as a trophy or a bank account. I've had friends who stuck around because of what I could do for them. Then I met you. And for the first time in my adult life, someone looked at me and saw just a person. You didn't know who I was, what I was worth, or what I could offer. You just saw Tom, a regular guy trying to make conversation over dinner, and you still liked me. I'm not asking you to forgive me for how we met. I'm asking you to give us a chance to meet again. Honestly this time, with no lies between us. If after that, you still want me to leave you alone, I will. I promise. There's something else. I've enclosed information about a scholarship fund for single parents returning to education. I established it last week through my company's foundation. It's completely anonymous. No one will know you applied, and my name is nowhere on the application. Whatever happened between us, you deserve the chance to pursue your dreams. Chloe deserves to see her mother reach for something more. Yours. Trevor. Jennifer's hands trembled as she read the letter twice, then 3 times. Attached were brochures for the scholarship program, offering full tuition, childcare support, and living stipends for single parents pursuing degrees in any field. The application was simple, straightforward, and as he'd promised, completely anonymous. She wanted to be angry. She wanted to tear it all up and throw it away. Instead, she found herself crying, because no one had ever seen her, really seen her, the way Trevor apparently did. The next morning, Jennifer made a decision that terrified her. She called the number on Trevor's card. He answered on the first ring. Jennifer? 1 coffee, that's it, and you better tell me the truth about everything. Anything you want to know. When? Tomorrow, 3 o'clock. The park on Riverside. Chloe will be with me. I can't afford a babysitter on a weekday. I'll be there. Trevor arrived 15 minutes early, his heart pounding in a way it never did before board meetings or major presentations. He changed clothes 3 times, finally settling on jeans and a simple sweater. He wanted to look approachable, normal, real. When Jennifer arrived with Chloe, Trevor felt his breath catch. She wore simple jeans and a green sweater that matched her eyes, and Chloe was practically bouncing with energy in her bright yellow jacket. Chloe, this is Trevor. Trevor, this is my daughter Chloe. Hi, Chloe said enthusiastically. Do you still want to hear about dinosaurs? Trevor laughed, the tension breaking. I would love to hear about dinosaurs. For the next hour, they walked through the park while Chloe gave an impressive lecture on various prehistoric creatures. Jennifer watched Trevor carefully, looking for signs of impatience or condescension, but found only genuine interest. He asked Chloe questions, listened to her answers, and treated her like a person rather than an obligation. When Chloe ran ahead to the playground, Jennifer finally spoke. Tell me about your life, the real one. Trevor did. He told her about growing up as Richard Whitmore's son, about the pressure to perform, to excel, to represent a legacy he hadn't built. He told her about his failed engagement to Veronica, about feeling like a commodity rather than a person. He told her about his mother's expectations and his father's silent disappointments. Everyone sees the money, he said quietly. No one sees the cost. That must be hard, Jennifer said. And she meant it, even though part of her wanted to point out that money solved problems she faced every day. Your turn. Tell me about Chloe's father. Jennifer's jaw tightened. Derek. We met in college. I was a freshman. He was a senior. I got pregnant, and he swore he wanted to be a family. I dropped out to work while he finished his degree. Then he graduated, got a job offer in Seattle, and left. I haven't heard from him in 4 years. I'm sorry, don't be. Chloe and I are better off without him. She watched her daughter swinging, her face determined. I won't let anyone hurt her. That's why this, whatever this is, scares me. She's already asking about you. What's she asking? If you're going to be her daddy. Jennifer's voice cracked slightly. She's 5, Trevor. She doesn't understand complicated. And I can't let her get attached to someone who might disappear. Before Trevor could respond, Chloe came running back, her face flushed with excitement. Mommy, Trevor, come see. There's a dog. They followed her to where a golden retriever was playing fetch with its owner. Chloe was mesmerized, her hands clasped together. Can I pet him? She asked the owner, an older woman with kind eyes. Of course, dear. His name is Buddy. Jennifer watched as Chloe gently stroked the dog's fur, her face lit up with pure joy. She's been asking for a dog for 2 years, Jennifer murmured. But our apartment doesn't allow pets, and even if they did, I can't afford vet bills. Trevor saw something in that moment. Not just Jennifer's struggle, but her fierce love for her daughter, her willingness to sacrifice everything for Chloe's happiness. And he saw Chloe, a little girl who deserved the world but got by on love and imagination. Jennifer, he said carefully, what if I could help? I don't want your money, she said immediately. That's not what I meant. What if I could help in other ways? What if we tried this, really tried, and saw where it went? No pressure, no expectations. Just 3 people getting to know each other. Jennifer looked at him for a long moment. Why? Why do you care so much? You could date anyone. Models, actresses, women from your world who understand your life. Because they're not you, Trevor said simply. Because you're the first person in 10 years who's made me laugh without trying. Because when you talk about your dreams, not for yourself but for Chloe, I see someone who understands what really matters. And because when I'm with you, I'm not Trevor Whitmore, son of Richard Whitmore, heir to an empire. I'm just Trevor. And that's all I've ever wanted to be. Jennifer felt tears welling up again. This is crazy. We barely know each other. So let's fix that. Dinner. This Saturday. You, me, and Chloe. Somewhere casual, where she can be herself. Let me show you who I really am, not who my friend's stupid prank tried to make me. Mommy, Chloe called out, can Trevor come to my birthday party? It's in 2 weeks. Jennifer and Trevor both froze. Jennifer hadn't even mentioned Chloe's upcoming birthday. Baby, we talked about this. Your party is just going to be you, me, and Mrs. Patterson, remember? Chloe's face fell. But I wanted friends. Jennifer's heart shattered. She'd been saving for weeks to afford even a small cake and a couple of presents. There was no money for a real party, for invitations to classmates, for the kind of celebration Chloe deserved. I'll be there, Trevor said suddenly. If your mom says it's okay, I'd love to come to your party. Really? Chloe's face transformed with hope. Jennifer wanted to say no, wanted to protect her daughter from potential disappointment, but looking at Trevor's earnest expression and Chloe's excitement, she found herself nodding. Okay. Saturday dinner. And the party, if you're serious. I'm serious about all of it, Trevor promised. What neither of them knew was that across the park, a photographer hired by a rival business associate of Richard Whitmore had just captured dozens of photos of Trevor with Jennifer and Chloe. By morning, those photos would be in the hands of people who had very different plans for Trevor's future. Plans that didn't include a struggling single mother and her daughter. The war for Trevor's life was about to begin, and Jennifer was going to find herself in the middle of a battle she never asked for. The photographs hit the media on Thursday morning. Jennifer was pouring coffee at the shop when Brenda gasped, holding up her phone with a trembling hand. Jenny, is this you? Jennifer looked at the screen and felt the world tilt. There she was, walking through the park with Trevor and Chloe. The headline read, Whitmore heir's secret family, billionaire's son spotted with mystery woman and child. Her phone began buzzing immediately. Unknown numbers, messages from reporters, even a news van pulling up outside the coffee shop. Jennifer's hands shook so badly, she dropped the coffee pot, and it shattered across the floor. I need to go, she whispered to Brenda. I need to get to Chloe. She ran out the back door, ignoring Marcus's shouts, and caught a bus to Chloe's school. Her mind raced with panic. Would reporters go there? Would they frighten her daughter? What had she been thinking? Letting Trevor into their lives. Trevor was already there when she arrived, standing outside the school office with a security team. He looked haggard, like he hadn't slept. Jennifer, thank God. I've been trying to call you. What have you done? She demanded, her voice breaking. There are reporters at my work, my apartment. I know. I'm so sorry. My father's business rivals leaked those photos. They're trying to create a scandal to damage the company before a major merger. He reached for her hands, but she pulled away. But listen to me. I've handled it. My lawyers are already working on it. Your lawyers can't fix this. Do you understand what you've done? Chloe's school, my jobs, my entire life, it's all exposed now. Then let me protect you. Both of you. Trevor's voice was desperate. Come stay at my place until this blows over. I have security. Privacy. Are you insane? That would make everything worse. Jennifer felt tears streaming down her face. I should never have let you in. I knew better. I knew this couldn't work. Mommy? They both turned to see Chloe standing in the doorway with her teacher, her little face confused and scared. Baby, it's okay. We're going home. Is Trevor leaving? Chloe asked, her lip trembling. Jennifer couldn't answer. She just took Chloe's hand and started walking toward the bus stop, ignoring Trevor calling her name. That evening, holed up in her apartment with the curtains drawn, Jennifer made the hardest decision of her life. She wrote Trevor a text. This was a mistake. Please don't contact us again. I need to protect my daughter. She blocked his number before he could respond. 2 days later, Jennifer was going through the motions of existence. She'd called in sick to both jobs, kept Chloe home from school, and ignored the persistent knocking at her door from reporters. Chloe had stopped asking about Trevor, but Jennifer could see the sadness in her daughter's eyes. On Saturday morning, what would have been Chloe's birthday party, someone knocked on the door with a pattern Jennifer recognized. Mrs. Patterson. Jenny dear, you need to see this, the elderly woman said, holding up her tablet. On the screen was a press conference. Trevor stood at a podium, flanked by his parents, looking directly into the camera with an expression of fierce determination. I'm here today to address the recent media attention surrounding my personal life, Trevor began. Yes, I am seeing someone. Her name is Jennifer, and she has a beautiful 5-year-old daughter named Chloe. Jennifer is a single mother who works 2 jobs to provide for her child. She's one of the strongest, most genuine people I've ever met. Jennifer's hand flew to her mouth. The photos you've seen were taken by operatives hired by competitors trying to sabotage my family's business. They thought exposing my relationship would create a scandal, but the only scandal here is that we live in a world where a hard-working mother is considered unsuitable because she doesn't come from wealth. Richard Whitmore stepped forward, placing a hand on his son's shoulder. My father built this company from nothing. He understood that character isn't determined by bank accounts. Trevor has shown more integrity in the past month than I've seen in many of our so-called suitable social circles. We support him completely. Trevor looked directly into the camera, and Jennifer felt like he was speaking only to her. Jennifer, if you're watching this, I know I've made your life complicated. I know you have every right to never forgive me. But I meant what I said. I'm not giving up. Not on you, not on Chloe, not on us. And today is Chloe's birthday, so I'm asking, please give me one more chance to show you what we could be. The press conference ended, and Jennifer sat frozen on her couch. Chloe climbed into her lap. Mommy, Trevor said my name on TV. Yes, baby, he did. Does that mean he's coming to my party? Jennifer looked at her daughter's hopeful face, then at Mrs. Patterson's encouraging smile. She thought about everything Trevor had said, about the risk he'd taken by publicly defending them, about his family standing beside him. I don't know, sweetheart, but maybe we should find out. 20 minutes later, Jennifer opened her apartment door. Trevor stood there with his parents, carrying an enormous box wrapped in dinosaur paper. Behind them, a truck was unloading tables, chairs, decorations, and what appeared to be a small petting zoo. You said she liked animals, Trevor said softly, and that she wanted friends at her party. So I called her school and invited her entire class. They're on their way. I hope that's okay. Jennifer couldn't speak. She just nodded, tears streaming down her face. Richard Whitmore extended his hand. Mrs. Hayes, I'm Richard, and this is my wife Patricia. We've heard wonderful things about you and Chloe. We'd be honored to celebrate with you. The party was magical. Chloe's classmates arrived with their parents, none of whom seemed to care about the media circus. There were ponies, a bounce house, face painting, and more presents than Jennifer had seen in her life. But the best moment came when Chloe blew out her candles and whispered her wish. What did you wish for? Trevor asked. I can't tell you, or it won't come true. Chloe giggled. Then she whispered to Jennifer, I wished for Trevor to stay forever. That evening, after the guests had left and Chloe had fallen asleep surrounded by new toys, Jennifer and Trevor stood on her tiny balcony watching the sunset. I submitted the scholarship application, Jennifer said quietly. I'm going back to school. I want to be a teacher. You'll be an amazing teacher. Trevor, this is all so overwhelming. The media attention, your family, this whole world you live in. Then we'll take it slow, Trevor interrupted. As slow as you need. I'm not going anywhere, Jennifer. Today proved that to me. When I saw Chloe's face light up, when I watched you laugh for the first time in days, that's when I knew for certain, this is what I want. You are what I want. What if it doesn't work? What if we're too different? Then we'll figure it out. Together. He pulled her close, and for the first time, Jennifer let herself lean into him without fear. My grandfather built an empire from nothing. You're building a life for your daughter with even less. We're not so different, you and I. We both know what it means to fight for what matters. Jennifer looked up at him, seeing not a billionaire or a Whitmore heir, but just Trevor, the man who had shown up for her daughter's birthday, who had defended them publicly, who had risked everything for a chance at something real. Okay, she whispered. Let's try, really try. Trevor kissed her softly, and in that moment, Jennifer felt something she hadn't felt in 5 years. Hope. 6 months later, Jennifer stood in the kitchen of the house Trevor had helped her lease in a better neighborhood, a place where Chloe could have a backyard and where pets were allowed. The golden retriever puppy they'd adopted together slept in his bed by the window, and Chloe's laughter echoed from the living room, where Trevor was helping her build a dinosaur habitat for her science project. Jennifer was enrolled at the university, her scholarship covering everything. Her coffee shop days were behind her, though she still visited Brenda every week. The media had moved on to other stories, and Trevor's business rivals had backed off after the merger succeeded spectacularly. It hadn't been easy. There had been arguments, adjustments, moments when their different worlds collided uncomfortably. But they had worked through each challenge, learning to communicate, to compromise, to build something new together. Mommy, Chloe called. Come see. Trevor says we can go to the Natural History Museum tomorrow. Jennifer walked into the living room and saw her daughter perched on Trevor's shoulders, both of them covered in glue and construction paper, looking absolutely ridiculous and perfectly happy. Trevor caught her eye and smiled, and Jennifer smiled back, remembering the scared woman who had walked into that restaurant months ago, expecting nothing and finding everything. Sometimes the best things in life came from the most unexpected places. Sometimes a prank turned into a promise, and sometimes, just sometimes, a single mother working 2 jobs and a billionaire's son looking for something real could find their way to each other and build something beautiful. Chloe's wish had come true. Trevor had stayed forever, and Jennifer had finally found her happy ending.